Well, here we are, another episode of That's For Sure. And my guest today is actress Laura Black. Laura, welcome to That's For Sure.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I have so many questions for you about your life as an actress, but I would love to start just by way of introduction. If you could just share with our listeners just a little bit about who you are.
Okay. Well, I probably around college kind of thought, do you know what? Like, should I get into this acting thing? And I went into college wondering, should I really be getting this acting degree? And I really just felt God saying, you're going to do this for my glory. And I didn't really see that all kind of happen until, within the last 10 years, where I've been able to work with some incredible Christian filmmakers. And it's just one of those things where you're thinking, this is only God. There's no way I could have even planned this. And his plan was much bigger than I could even imagine.
Wow. So you went to acting school, was it in Utah?
I
Film
did.
school?
Yeah, it was at University of Utah. And it was an actors training program. And so it was conservatory like, where there was like 14 kids per class, very intense and more classically trained. I mean, it was really in depth, really pushing you hard, but you kind of came out the other side going, okay, I'm ready for this. So
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Now, and you didn't mention your awards. You have been nominated for 3 awards, 2 for Best Actress, right?
yes, yes.
Okay. And you were also the winner of, is it Best Alumni Film?
Yes, yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
What is
my
an
husband.
alumni film exactly?
Well, yeah, so it was a film festival. It's 168, which my husband and I have done some films. It's a great thing where you have 168 hours to put together a Christian film. They give you a verse, and
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy.
Intense.
Intense, yes. So yes, we've done a few of them. And so alumni is like where you've done a few, and it's like, okay, we're going to give you a little more time and to kind of put together the ideas and things. So it was a great experience. It really was.
Wow. And
So
you mentioned your husband, Trevor. He's also an actor.
he is.
You met in college.
We did. Yes. Yeah. And I have a story about that. I went into this audition. I kind of saw this guy and I thought, I wonder who this is. And the director called both of us up, and I was reading, kind of looking down, and I looked up and I just thought, this is my husband, we're going to have kids with him. And he didn't have that same thought right at that moment, but yeah, it was great because the first couple of years we were just great friends, and we both were actors, so we were kind of traveling all over the place, different theaters, and so then yeah, we were able to get married, and what I think is so amazing is just that we're able to share this with one another and kind of understand what each of us are going through and just be each other's cheerleaders. It has been such a blessing to share this with them. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Well, I've been privileged to meet Trevor. He is just the kindest of men. Yeah,
yes,
that's
absolutely.
incredible. And you've been in several films together. You were both in Confessions of the Prodigal Son.
Yes,
You played, is it Mrs. Matthews, the wife or the mom,
yes,
wife of Kevin Sorbo, Mr. Matthews,
absolutely.
and then the mom of the prodigal son. And Trevor was also in the movie for a tiny bit.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So
So,
how fun
yeah,
is that to work on films together?
it's been fantastic. Yeah. And mostly as he and I are like producing, because we're more and more just kind of like, um, how can we use our gifts and talents to point to the Lord, to glorify the Lord? Because so many times as an actor, you're kind of sitting around waiting for an audition. And here you're just like, okay, like what kind of stories do we want to tell? So,
Sure. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. Well, as an actress, that kind of leads me to my next question because I mentioned you worked with Hercules, Kevin Sorbo,
Yes.
and he's
Yes.
been quoted talking about the challenges that Christians have in the acting industry. And I wondered if you, and maybe Trevor as well, have you encountered difficulties in either obtaining roles or, trying out? I mean, what has that looked like for you in your business, as exercising your gifts as an actress in an industry that, really is challenging for those people of faith?
Yeah, absolutely. It is very difficult. Sometimes you're like, oh, you kind of want to like hide it a little bit, which is so sad. And I think what the hardest part, I think for the two of us, is our agent will get us a audition, and which are hard to come by. I
Sure,
mean, yes, in LA. And we'll just read the material or something, and it's just so difficult. It's just such a hard thing of like, do I even audition with this? Do I want to? It's such a hard thing. Just because of
sure,
the material, it's so hard. Where you are in this thing of like, oh, do I audition? Do I be a part of this project? And so many times you're auditioning, and you just see a little scene. You don't understand the whole project, and so you kind of do the scene, or you are in the show, and then you're like, oh man. I mean, it's difficult with that kind of thing, mostly in Hollywood. It's like,
sure.
so
Yeah. No, I mean, you're up against an incredible, you know, it's a battle really how do you discern between, am I going to just take this role because the part that I'm in is okay by my standards, or do you have to
right.
really factor in that whole picture of, is this something that my character, can withstand? I can't imagine that kind of challenge.
That's right. But it's been really great, just how God has just introduced all these different Christian filmmakers. It is one of those things. Like, I mean, when you are on set with Hercules, or
Sure.
another film that was so great was To Save a Life. I
Yes.
mean, where you're just,
Excellent film.
oh, that there's a great story on that one. But you're just on set and working with these people, and you're thinking, only God could have done this. I mean, it's just so much bigger than what I could even plan. And it felt like whenever I'd push or something, or I'd want something, he had a bigger plan for me. Or I'd look back and go, do you know what? This was exactly the way it was supposed to be. In my mind, it's like, oh, I wanted this and this, but I just felt him just saying, nope, Laura, this is the plan I have for you. And it was so much bigger than I could even imagine. So,
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I have seen To Save a Life. That is also an excellent film. And you were
so,
fantastic in that.
oh, it's a great story. I was in San Diego. That's when we were living in San Diego. And my husband was in an acting class with another actress, and she said, oh, I'm producing this film that's being shot in San Diego, and all the roles have been cast. But it would be great if you just met the casting director, do an audition. And Trevor and I were like, sure, that's fantastic. So we went and auditioned, and I met her. And anyway, and a few weeks went by, and all of a sudden the director called, and she said, Laura, they want you as the mom.
Oh,
And
wow.
it just came, I'm like, what did you
Yeah.
know? So I think it was like 3 days later, I was on set.
Oh, wow.
That's what I mean, where you're just going, oh, this is so amazing. And just incredible director, screenwriter. I just remember like going to set and just them praying for us before we went, and just writing words of encouragement. And the screenwriter, Jim Britz, was a youth pastor. And so in this film, it really does kind of talk about a lot what teenagers go through. And there's so many different subjects that it touches upon.
Yes.
Yes, like
Yes.
bullying and suicide and school shooting and divorce. I mean, all these
Yeah.
different things. Think, oh, this is too much, but this is what these kids deal with. But
Hmm.
I remember on set one morning, he just said, do you know what? If this saves one life, it's worth everything we're doing. And that film
Wow.
came out, and it was amazing, just the response, and just to hear stories of how it had changed people's lives, and these kids just watching it and saying, do you know what? I want to follow Christ, or I felt like I was going to commit suicide, and they'd watch the film and just find God
Wow.
in the midst of that. And I mean, there were just so many stories where you do see, I mean, what an incredible medium with film and television, and
Oh,
even what
yeah.
you're doing, that it just can reach thousands. It can reach the world. And so, yeah, it's just exciting to be a part of all of this. And like I said,
Yeah.
I know it's God, it had nothing to do with me. So,
Sure, but you're being faithful to his lead and, following, and I think that right there is just so telling of how he works. And, I
right,
think in this season that we're in with movies like Jesus Revolution and, some of that are coming out, I'm hearing stories of, these movies that are, made with the heart of, Christ behind them
right.
are just surprising the box office right now with how well they're doing. And I think mainstream Hollywood is shocked because,
Yes.
as you work in this industry with some Christian filmmakers, there's usually not a lot of money for marketing. And yet these films with such an intentional, purposeful message are just blowing, numbers out of the water. I think it's such an exciting time.
It is. And I mean, you just see the audiences. And a lot of times it's word of mouth. Like you
Mhm.
said, they don't have the big budgets for getting it out there. And it's word of mouth. And you see how hungry people
Yes.
are for these kind of stories. And
Hmm.
yes, I mean, it's so exciting just kind of watching Christian film and just more and more, just bringing excellence to the Lord.
Hmm.
Um, and just seeing these films that are life changing and beautiful. Yeah, so it is so exciting to see how God is working
Yeah, through the
in the midst of
industry.
this, yeah, in
Yeah.
the industry right now.
Oh,
So
you have a couple new projects you're working on. What can you share with us about those?
yes, so I finished, I think it wrapped about a year ago, but it's Insight. I don't quite know when it's going to be released.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a great story, just kind of finding the Lord. There's a lady who's been kind of in an abusive relationship, and so just finding the Lord in that. And then there's a book called Snow Falls, written by Karina Zurcher, I think, yeah, Zurcher, and it's a beautiful story about just you sometimes think you need big miracles to change things, and sometimes it's just the little miracles that are bigger than what you kind of think within your life. But it's a beautiful story, and so that's in development right now. So
Okay.
yeah,
And
so
what's the
that
name of that one?
well, the name of the book is Snow Falls. If you
Okay.
look up Snow Falls right now, I don't know what they'll eventually name it. The
Okay.
name of the book is Snow Falls,
Okay.
but if you look up Snow Falls right now, there's lots of other things.
Sure.
So definitely check out the book,
Okay. TBD.
and that's right. That's right of what they'll name it and things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, I love that. And again, I love the intentionality behind these movies, the message. And I think they're doing so well because they're hitting upon things, like you said, that people are just craving,
that's
that are very relatable stories
right.
of just common people that have common struggles.
I love that. I love stories about real people because
Hmm.
you get to watch their journey. And what I love so many times within these films that they find Christ and you think it's happily ever after. Do you know? And I think that's
Right.
hard within a film to go, okay, I found Christ, everything's happy and things. And what I really like is somebody's journey, that it might not be happily ever
Hmm.
after, but you do just see how having faith in God and walking with Him, I mean, it is so powerful, so life changing. So that's what I love about real stories.
Hmm.
So yeah. So
Yeah. And we all have something to learn from each other's stories, which I think is just a beautiful reflection of how God made us, to really learn from one another and learn about ourselves and ultimately learn more about him. And
that's right.
I think those types of stories are my favorite personally. So the ones, based on real life where, some element of truth to the story
Yeah.
are at my hands down my favorite movies.
Absolutely. I think that's something as Christians is that nobody can take away our testimony. Do you
Right.
know that they might be able, like to think that, to argue against God or things, but where you as a Christian go, God did this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is bigger than me. And like you said, just to hear people's stories, to see, I mean, there's things that I love to say, little winks that you see throughout the
Sure.
day, things where you go, that God meant that exactly for me, for my heart. There's nobody else that would have spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, I do believe just people's personal stories. I do like that as far as, films or stories. That is, I think, powerful.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you and I met, for our listeners, we met because for a season there, we attended the same church in Southern California.
Yes.
You and Trevor, and I was at this church for a while. And I remember one of the things that I just loved about the two of you together right off the bat was your willingness to use your talent as actors and your gifts as actors for the local church. And
Yes.
you both have acted in, for VBS or for other Good Friday services or other events at the church. And I would love to hear more about your heart behind that. What is your motivation? Because these are volunteer roles, right? So working for the
Right.
church, these are not paid acting gigs. But what's your heart behind using your talent for the local church?
Oh, it's such a blessing to be a part of a church that has an arts ministry. We had been in some other churches where my husband and I had done kind of theater ministry, and there's something so beautiful about theater. I love, I just feel like it's just such a sacred moment where you're going through that with the audience, and that there's no other performance quite like that. And being able to explore a character, but then to be able to do something that is for the Lord. There is a story about that. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
you
powerful.
love it.
Oh, it's just what we love doing. So, yeah. So, like you said, doing VBS and which is so much fun. And do you know, you sometimes go, "Oh, this is kids or something." It's so important. I mean, these little seeds are planted in these kids' lives, and I know, like when with VBS volunteers, it's like this is important. These
Yep.
stories are important, and it's laughter and it's fun, and so many times I think in church it can get like very serious. And
Sure.
our God is a God of laughter. He's of joy and things. So we have a blast doing that. And
Yeah.
we have great writers and directors. And so it is fun to be a part of a church that uh, does help with the arts. I mean, it really does
Yeah.
support that and things.
Yeah,
So
they create space for you to exercise your gifts and the way God's wired you. And I just think it's a beautiful expression of the church. And, like you said to little kids, what's so great about them is they don't really pay much attention to, who's an actor. Or I know at VBS, some kids who've had professional athletes as their weekly guide, and they have no idea that person is a professional athlete. They don't really care. And I
right.
just think that's so wonderful that, they can see role models like yourself just do the thing that God has gifted you to do. And what an amazing testimony of God's goodness and love for us that is, on display before them through VBS. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. And to encourage kids and not, and even adults, just if God's put something on your heart, if there's something, I mean, He's given each one of us gifts. Every single one of us are so vital to the kingdom. And so many times people are like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," or I don't think this can happen. And I just think, step forward. We have a mighty God. All things are possible. And so it's just stepping into that trust. And so I love talking to kids and just, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like I said, like, okay, I'm going to be an actor. Is this really the best
Right.
choice? And how He's used that and things. So I encourage people of all ages of just, what is God calling you? What is He speaking to you? And to know you have gifts to share people, and your story is important. So yes, we have a VBS this week for some foster kids. My
Oh,
husband
great.
Yeah, he's playing a squirrel and I'm playing a porcupine. But yeah, we have a ball just playing with the kids and things. But like you
Yeah.
said, I've also been able to do some dramas. Yeah, Trevor played Pilot, and I was Pilot's wife. And
I watched it. It was intense, but so well done. So well
oh,
done.
it just is so, yeah, it was right. If what it might have looked at like after Pilate had made the choice to allow them to crucify
Mm,
Jesus, and just him like trying to say, like, wash his hands of it, and his wife saying, do you know this man? I mean, this might be the Messiah. And it was really powerful, powerful story. And that's what I mean. There's such incredible stories to be told from the Bible, from people's lives and things. So yeah, it's a gift. I just am all the time like, thank you, Jesus. It's a lot of fun.
yeah. Have you ever thought about writing?
Not really. When my
Okay.
husband and I produced, yeah, when my husband and I produced, we had such respect for, I mean, as an actor, you get a script and you do your little thing. Doing the whole film, I mean, just from the screenwriting to setting it up to directing, and then the post production, which is a
Sure.
whole other thing with the editing and
It's a
things.
lot. Yeah.
Say my gift, that would be a gift that Trevor and I like. I think that's absolutely just, I mean, you're only as good as the script as an actor, as good as the
Sure.
writing. So it is important to have good writing, but no, I mean, I love acting. I mean, that's my passion and things. But
Hmm.
Trevor, I mean, he loves directing. I mean, he loves all kind of things. So he's kind of liking the other parts of it, but
Okay.
the acting part. So
Well, when I watched that Good Friday drama, with Pilot and his wife that you and Trevor did, I wondered if you had written it and if that was something that you do because it was so well done. I was so captivated, and it was several minutes long. I mean, it wasn't overly long, but it was. I was captivated the entire time, and it was just both of you were so good.
oh, well, I mean, I have to plug who wrote it and who kind of runs the arts ministry is Angela O'Neill.
Okay.
And she is, oh, she's so gifted.
Wow.
She writes most of the scripts that we
Okay.
do. She directs the VBS. I mean,
Okay.
that girl is
Yeah, it
incredible.
was amazing.
It is, and she wrote that, and so
Wow.
she's the head of the arts ministry. And I will plug. She is so gifted, director, writer, singer, such a talented girl. So I really feel God, like bringing her into our lives was
Mm,
an absolute gift. So yes, it was written by her, and she's
yeah.
written a lot of the VBS things. And so you always get a script and you go, "That's good. This
This
is
is
gonna be
good.
fun. It's gonna be
Yep.
fun to play." So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
Just one question. I'm so curious with both you and Trevor being actors. Are there moments throughout your day when you're just actually acting in front of each other, but you're not letting the other one know? Or can you call it out in each other? Hey, you're just acting, you're just teasing here.
Well, I would have to say our kids have a different kind of
Okay.
dynamic going on, having two parents as
Sure.
actors. And we have a lot of fun. I mean, we really are like laughing and playing. I mean, that's another thing God has blessed me with is the most incredible husband. I mean, such a man following God.
Hmm.
And that's another thing we are very passionate about is a marriage ministry.
Yeah.
And so we do pre-marriage, we work with pre-marrieds, we work with, I want to like continue with marriage ministry. I mean, that
Hmm.
is another passion. In fact, I think this fall we might kind of like start doing some short films within the marriage ministry at our
Wow, that'd
church.
be incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're excited. That's kind of a next step. But yeah, I remember Trevor and I were rehearsing some show, and some fight, is going on. My daughter is little, and she comes in. She goes, "You guys are acting, right?" And so yeah, my kids kind of have a different thing going on, and
Sure.
so
Did
yeah,
any
yeah.
of the three of them decide to pursue acting, or is it going to stop with you and Trevor, you think?
I think it's going to stop. The poor kids, we would get auditions for national commercials, like with our families,
Hmm.
and bring us all up. And my kids were just, oh, it was just like they could. And I just think the amount of kids that would want to be in that room. And
Yep.
my kids were just like, oh, and things. So one of my sons was on a national commercial, and of course they cut out that little part. And so they were
Okay.
in little things, but my son was a sweetheart. He did the whole day. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, they're
Sure.
long days and tedious. I
Yeah.
mean, and at the end, he's like, "I'm never doing this again."
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm
but
done.
my daughter's a dancer, so
Okay.
she's got that performing bug in her
Yeah.
heart.
There you
But
go.
yep, yep. So we have one, but
Okay.
our
There
others
you
are
go.
like, no,
No
no.
way. Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I just
Yeah.
have a couple questions left for you.
Okay.
Because the show is called That's For Sure,
Yes.
and because you have spent your life as an actress, I would love to know, based on your experience, what you know to be absolutely sure about God.
I so many things in my life that happen, so many, like you said, experiences where I know I have a mighty God directing my steps, where it is just bigger than I could ever imagine. I mean, I'm in awe so many times. And like I kind of talked about with the God winks, I mean, just these little things where I see him there saying, I love you, Laura. I mean, he's right there for all of us. And it really is just a matter of being aware of that, and to watch him and to step towards him. And he is there. He loves us and things. So I just, there's no way that there isn't a mighty God that just truly loves each one of us. And like I said, just as open doors that could not have been opened by man, or
Mm.
situations that you think this only my God could have put this all together. And I'm always like, I'm getting chills. I just feel the Holy Spirit just speaking to me, or I just see a story and I just think, oh, hearing someone's story or seeing him work. And
Yeah.
I just feel just his touch and his heart with me. So,
Oh, I
um,
love that. His nearness, his availability. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
absolutely. And just as I continue learning about him, as I continue finding out, I mean, last year I was in a Bible study. We read the whole Bible, the
Oh,
whole
wow.
thing. It was
Wow.
incredible. And
Cover to
just, yeah,
cover.
cover to cover. We took a year, and we had an incredible Bible teacher that brought us through, and just to see the whole story. I
Mm.
mean, it really is. You think, oh, the Old Testament, what are those stories? But just seeing how it's all pointing to Christ,
Yeah.
and you look back and just, oh, it really was incredible.
Wow.
So yeah. So as I continue digging in deeper and deeper, the more in awe. And it was like 2 years ago, I just thought, I'm going to do radical obedience. Just whatever God brings before me, I'm going to do it. And just to see the doors that he opened, and just so many different things were like, I want to use my time here on earth pointing to him, like to
Hmm.
glorify him, to point to him. Um, so yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I love all of that, and you are absolutely doing that. I think I have one more question for you, but I think the reason I thought to have you on That's For Sure is because you clearly do obediently follow the Lord, and you do it with such joy. I mean, in our few encounters that we had, I just loved interacting with you in our church context because you were so joyful and committed and purposeful. And I loved every interaction I was privileged to have with you. And yeah, I love your heart behind why you do what you do. And it's super encouraging. And I'm just so, so grateful. So
Oh, well, thank you. It's funny. One of our pastors at that church, one thing he spoke to me that changed everything was to meet people where they are, wherever they are on their journey, and point to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we think we're responsible or we have to be the Holy Spirit to be in the middle of
Right.
that. All like you said, those of us who found the Lord, it's just like, guys, do you realize there is a mighty God up there?
Yeah.
And that's our job as Christians, is just to to point to Him and
Mm-hmm.
to share that. So that's really something that really helped me as a Christian, of not stressing out like, oh, do I need to say this? It's like, hey, look at the Bible, see what He
Yep.
says, and dig in deeper there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you do that very well of just
oh,
pointing people and, just by your countenance, your smile. And my last
oh.
question's on joy. And I think you reflect joy so well. And it's so much a part of what you do. But what in this season is bringing you your joy?
Oh, absolutely the Lord, and absolutely just seeing how He's using my gifts, not only as an actress, but like I said, within the marriage ministry, within the prayer, my husband and I are in the prayer ministry, just seeing just people going, what's different about you? And I have to say, I mean, this has been a journey. I certainly wasn't there at age 18.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah, no one is.
that's right. That's right. And just, and there's so many times people spoke something to me and I'm like, if that's Christian, that's not me.
Yep.
As I dug deeper and deeper and deeper, I more and more, God is more and more revealed to me. And yes, you find that joy. You find that joy when He finds something that you're passionate about and you're able to do that, to step forward in that. I think there's nothing more exciting than that.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Laura. I'm excited for your new films, TBD. And I am
yes.
excited to see those. I've absolutely loved watching the movies that you've been part of and your shorts. And thank you for doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for taking the time today to be on That's For Sure.
It was my absolute pleasure. So thank you so much for having me.